this is Robin Yocum. I'm a novelist in Galena, Ohio, and I was asked by Ann at Thurber House to do a little video during that we could run during the coronavirus quarantine, and hopefully, entertain you all a little bit. I am a novelist. I have written a variety of books that include mysteries such as A Brilliant Death, Perfect Shot, Coming of Age, The Essay. A Brilliant Death was set in my hometown of Brilliant, Ohio. Favorite Sons. And probably my most famous, well-known book was A Catcher in the Rye, which has done extremely well for me. I have a PR business on the side, and when I'm not doing that, I put out oil well fires. I travel to Texas, Oklahoma, sometimes Saudi Arabia to help put out oil well fires, which is very exciting and gives me a lot of material for my books. I've previously served on the Thurber House board and was a consultant for a while, and I've spoken at Thurber House 3 or 4 times. And so I know Ann pretty well, and she gave me a list of questions that she would like me to answer for the video. And she also asked me not to look at them in advance because she wanted spontaneous answers. It's sort of funny, as long as Ann has known me, that she thought I wouldn't look at the questions ahead of time, which of course I did. Question number 1. We'll go down through these. There are 13. They're called the Thurber 13. What is your favorite word? My favorite word is indigenous. And I like the word indigenous just because I like saying indigenous. Prairie gators are indigenous to South Dakota. Prairie gator on the endangered species list, by the way, but they are still indigenous to South Dakota. Now, question number 2, what is your least favorite word? My least favorite word is this word here. And it is my least favorite word because when I try to say it, which I'm not going to, it sounds like I have the dry heaves. My tongue wraps up around my molars and it never comes out right. So, and there are several words like that, but I picked that one as least favorite. Question number 3. What would you say is your best quality? Well, I am quite charming, first of all. But I would say that I'm a half full kind of guy. Very positive. I'm upbeat and determined. If you're going to be a novelist, you've got to be half full and determined, because you hear the word no a lot, which is also one of my least favorite words, and you hear it a lot as a novelist. So you have to have that kind of half full attitude. What would you say is your worst quality? I would say it depends on who you're talking to. My beautiful wife, who's doing this video for me, would say it probably has something to do with toilet seats and leaving lights turned on throughout the house. But I would say, if you were asking me, I would say impatience. Very impatient. I want to get from one project to the next, and sometimes, especially if you're a novelist, you need to back it down a little bit. So I think impatient is probably one of my worst qualities. What sound or smell do you love? I love the sound of my wife on the lawnmower, which is beautiful, because obviously means I don't have to be out there on it. But I also like the sounds of industry. I grew up down in the Ohio River Valley, and I like to call it the grit and the grind. There were always, sounds coming out of the steel mills and the sounds of trains and industry. And I think it reminds me of home and, a pretty great childhood. And, but I love at night, even where we live now, I can hear trains several miles away at night. I really like that sound. 6, what sound or smell do you hate? It's a sound, and it's the damn dog that lives right over there that never shuts up. Barks morning, noon, night. I gotta watch what I say, because the coalition of everyone must love dogs will scorn me for it, but I hate that dog. And I hate the sound he makes. 7, in an alternate universe, what profession other than your own would you have pursued? Well, in a perfect world, I'd be playing shortstop for the Pittsburgh Pirates. But let's just say that's not a possibility. Hands down, I'd have been a cowboy, big horse, 10-gallon hat, spurs, chaps, couple 6-shooters, be a good look. No question, I'd be a cowboy. What profession would be the worst fit for you? So, I had a buddy in high school, and Ed, and our math teacher at the high school said that Ed and I were the 2 worst math students to ever graduate from the high school. And he said there were worse math students, but we were actually the 2 worst that ever somehow managed to graduate. Which for the longest time I thought was a compliment, but it turns out no, it wasn't. So I would say it would be something to do with math. So let's just say aeronautical engineer, okay? Because if I was an aeronautical engineer, without question, there would come a day where one of my coworkers would show up at the door because the 747 fell out of the sky, and he'd say, can you recalculate that wingspan tension formula you came up with? Because something I did would cause a major, a major accident. So I would say aeronautical engineer would be a really bad fit for me. Who is your favorite fictional hero or heroine? The Lone Ranger. A fiery horse with the speed of light, a cloud of dust, and a hardy hi-ho soar. I loved the Lone Ranger. Loved it. And here's the funny thing is, I've never understood these sort of geekazoids who like the superheroes, like, say, Aquaman or Spider-Man or those kinds of guys. Because, who wants to believe that, hey, over here. Okay, that's Superman. That's different. He's the Man of Steel. I do have kind of a man crush on Superman. So, but he's different. Who is your favorite fictional villain or villainess? I always kind of had a thing for the queen in Sleeping Beauty. She's kind of hot, and there's something about evil women with a lot of power kind of flips my switch. So it'd probably be the queen, Sleeping Beauty. But if it had to be a real person, for example, hands down, Wicked Witch of the West. She's mean, she's green, she flies on a broom, she can make fire come out of her fingers, and she's got that whole little army of flying monkeys. Totally badass, Wicked Witch of the West. Are you a Thurber fan? If so, what is your favorite Thurber story? I love Thurber. How can you not like Thurber? I think we studied in 4th, 5th grade even. We started early, but my favorite Thurber story is If Grant Had Been Drinking at Appomattox, which I think is just, I read it every once in a while, and I laugh out loud every time I read it. It is tremendous. What is your Walter Mittiest fantasy? I think I'd like to be a knight in shining armor, big bodysuit with the shining armor and the mask and the big lance on a big horse charging down at the joust. That'd be cool. It's sort of funny is, I said a cowboy, I like the Lone Ranger, rides a horse, a knight in shining armor on a horse. And which is kind of funny because I'm really afraid of horses. They're big and they sense my fear. But if it's a Walter Mitty fantasy, I don't have to be afraid of horses, and I'd be a knight in shining armor. And number 13 of the Thurber 13, if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you show up at the pearly gates? Well, the first thing I want to hear him say is, "Hey, Rob, come on in, we've been waiting on you." But I don't want him to walk up to the gates and go, "What are you doing here? Out." No, I want him to say, "Come on in." And, I guess it'd be kind of cool if he said, "Congratulations on that Pulitzer." That'd be cool. But, I think I think what I would want him to say is, tell me that I have been a good father and a good husband and a good son, good friend. Because, you know, when we get to the end of the rope, that's all that matters in life is, you know, your family and your friends. So I think that I would want, hopefully, you know, someday when I'm gone, that's what people remember me as. So anyway, that's my Thurber 13. I thank Ann and the folks for allowing me to do this, and I gotta go. So I'm gonna be heading out to the back 40, because I got a lot of work to do.